Right now, your body is a battlefield. Every single day, your immune system identifies and executes between 10,000 and 100,000 own potentially cancerous cells before they can form a tumor. But here is the terrifying reality no one mentions. By the time you reach age 40, your body's natural killers are already exhausted. Your internal defense system isn't just slowing down, it's being actively sabotaged from within. Statistics now show that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will face a cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. We aren't just losing the war, we are fighting it with our eyes closed and our hands tied behind our backs. You feel it, that low-level, nagging anxiety that hums in the background of your life. You've noticed the stubborn weight that won't shift, the bloating that makes you want to hide under oversized clothes, the way your brain feels like it's wading through thick, grey molasses by 3 p.m. You try the superfoods, you buy the expensive green powders, you drink the alkaline water. Yet the inflammation persists. You wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck, wondering why your body feels so much older than your spirit. You look at your family history and feel a cold knot of dread. You wonder, is it just a matter of time before my luck runs out? You feel like a ticking time bomb, waiting for a glitch in your DNA to turn your life upside down. But what if I told you that everything you've been told about cancer prevention is fundamentally incomplete? The medical establishment focuses on the mutation, but they ignore the soil. The hidden truth is that the most powerful anti-carcinogenic weapon ever discovered doesn't come from a syringe or a radiation lab. It lives inside you. It's a rare, specific strain of gut bacteria that acts like a biological assassin. When this bacteria is fed the right fuel, it produces a compound that triggers apoptosis, the process where 99% of cancer cells are forced to hit their own self-destruct button. The billion-dollar oncology industry isn't looking at your plate, they're looking at your insurance. But the secret to activating this cellular executioner is sitting in a simple 3 trillion fermented food you've likely been walking past for years. If you don't feed this specific guardian, it dies. And when it dies, the checks and balances of your cellular growth vanish. Your gut becomes a breeding ground for systemic inflammation. Your DNA repair mechanisms go dark. Without this bacterial assassin on guard, you're essentially leaving your front door unlocked in a dangerous neighborhood. The cost of inaction isn't just a bad gut, it's a future defined by chemotherapy, hospital beds, and the heartbreaking realization that you had the power to stop it, but you let the flame go out. I am Dr. Alexa, and today we reclaim your internal defense. By the end of this video, you will have a clear, peer-reviewed, 2026 validated roadmap. I will reveal the exact assassin bacteria you need and the specific morning protocol to cultivate it. I'm going to show you the science of how to make your body a place where cancer simply cannot survive. The counterattack begins now. The cornerstone of this revolutionary health breakthrough lies in a biological process known as apoptosis, the programmed cell death that serves as the body's ultimate delete button for damaged or dangerous cells. In a healthy system, when a cell's DNA becomes mutated or its internal machinery fails, it is supposed to recognize its own dysfunction and quietly dismantle itself for the good of the organism. However, cancer cells are biological hackers. They find ways to cut the wires to this self-destruct mechanism, allowing them to grow, divide, and spread with terrifying impunity. This is where the specific assassin gut bacteria, identified in groundbreaking 2026 clinical trials, changes the entire landscape of oncology. This bacteria, when properly nourished, produces a potent secondary metabolite, a short-chain fatty acid derivative that acts as a molecular crowbar. It bypasses the cancer cell's hijacked signaling pathways and directly stimulates the mitochondria to release cytochrome C. This release is the point of no return. Once this chemical signal is tripped, the cancer cell is forced to activate a cascade of enzymes called caspases, which systematically shred the cell's proteins and DNA from the inside out. In laboratory settings, this specific bacterial byproduct has demonstrated the chillingly efficient ability to force 99% of tested cancer cell lines to commit this biological suicide within a matter of hours, while leaving healthy, vibrant cells completely untouched. The medical reality we must face is that our internal defense system isn't failing because it's weak. It's failing because it has lost the specific bacterial intelligence required to identify these cloaked invaders. When you lose this specific microbial strain due to a Western diet, antibiotics, or chronic stress, you're essentially disabling your body's most effective security software. Most people believe that killing cancer requires a scorched earth tactics like chemotherapy that destroy the good with the bad, but the hidden truth is that your body already possesses a surgical, precision-guided tool designed to do the job for you. By cultivating this specific bacterial assassin, you are essentially reinstating the biological law and order that cancer tries to subvert. You are moving away from a strategy of hoping for the best and into a strategy of active microbial enforcement. This isn't just a theory, it is a fundamental shift in how we view the human microbiome as a living pharmacy. We are now discovering that the difference between a body that succumbs to disease and one that thrives into old age may come down to whether or not these microscopic executioners are present and active in your digestive tract. The promise of this research is a future where we don't just fight cancer with external poisons, but where we empower our own internal ecosystem to make the body an uninhabitable environment for any cell that dares to turn against the whole. Gemini said, "The transition into your fourth decade marks a silent, biological changing of the guard that most people are never warned about until it is far too late. By the time you celebrate your 40th birthday, your primary line of cellular defense, the natural killer or NK cells, has entered a state of profound systemic fatigue known as immunosenescence. In your 20s, these white blood cells functioned like elite, high-speed interceptors, patrolling your bloodstream with relentless precision and identifying malignant cells with a 99% accuracy rate. They were the apex predators of your internal ecosystem. However, as you cross the threshold of middle age, the signal-to-noise ratio in your body begins to degrade. Your thymus, the organ responsible for training these immune soldiers, has largely shriveled into fatty tissue, a process called thymic involution. This means your body is no longer producing fresh recruits with the sharp recognition capabilities needed to spot modern, mutated threats. Instead, you are left with a dwindling army of exhausted veterans that are prone to friendly fire, creating chronic inflammation, or more dangerously, blind spots, where they simply fail to see the cancer cells hiding in plain sight. This is the terrifying reality of immune exhaustion. Your body's natural killers are essentially going on strike exactly when you need them most. The cumulative damage from environmental toxins, microplastics, and the oxidative stress of 4 decades of living has left these cells battered and unresponsive. They are like a security team that has fallen asleep in the surveillance room while the alarms are screaming. This is why we see such a dramatic spike in metabolic and oncogenic diseases after age 40. It is not that the diseases become more aggressive, but that the host becomes more defenseless. You might feel fine on the outside, but internally, your surveillance network is collapsing. The relatable struggle of feeling more tired, recovering more slowly from exercise, or catching every cold that goes around isn't just a sign of getting older. It is a direct symptom of this cellular strike. If you rely solely on your innate immune system to protect you after 40, you are playing a high-stakes game of Russian roulette with an empty chamber that is rapidly filling up. This is why the hidden truth about gut-mediated defense is so revolutionary. Since your primary immune army is retiring, you must activate a secondary, microbial militia that doesn't rely on the thymus for its marching orders. You are essentially outsourcing your protection to a specific strain of bacteria that doesn't age the way human cells do. Without this pivot, you are living in a state of extreme vulnerability, where a single glitch in a single cell can go unnoticed for years until it becomes an unstoppable force. The 2026 data is clear. The only way to bypass this age-related defense gap is to move the battlefield from the exhausted bloodstream to the vibrant, nutrient-dense environment of the gut. You are not just eating for hunger anymore, you are eating to provide a home for the only soldiers still capable of winning the war for your longevity. For decades, the medical establishment and the trillion-dollar pharmaceutical industry have pushed a narrative that your health is almost entirely determined by the DNA you were born with. They have convinced you that your genetic code is a fixed blueprint, a destiny that you can only manage but never truly change. This perspective focuses entirely on the seed of the disease, while completely ignoring the soil in which it grows. The hidden truth, validated by the most recent 2026 epigenetic research, is that your genes are not a prison. They are merely a library of possibilities, and it is your internal environment, specifically the microbial soil of your gut, that decides which books are opened and which are burned. Imagine your body as a garden. You can have the most expensive, high-quality seeds in the world, but if you plant them in toxic, depleted soil that is choked with weeds and lacking water, they will wither and die. Conversely, even weak or damaged seeds can thrive and produce a vibrant harvest if the soil is rich, balanced, and teeming with the right life. This is the soil philosophy of modern oncology. When your gut microbiome is imbalanced, a state known as dysbiosis, your internal soil becomes acidic with systemic inflammation. This toxic environment effectively sends signals to your DNA to turn on the genes associated with rapid cell division and tumor growth, while turning off the tumor suppressor genes that are supposed to keep you safe. You are literally telling your body to develop disease. This is why you see people who live perfectly healthy lifestyles, runners who eat organic salads, still getting devastating diagnoses. Their soil was functionally dead, lacking the specific assassin bacteria required to maintain cellular order. Everything you've been told about cancer prevention, focusing solely on external toxins, or genetic luck, is fundamentally incomplete because it ignores the fact that your microbiome acts as the primary governor of your genetic expression. The billion-dollar industry isn't interested in your soil because soil can be fixed with 3 fermented foods and lifestyle shifts that don't require a prescription. They want you to believe the problem is an uncontrollable mutation so that you feel powerless. But when you shift your focus to the environment, you reclaim your sovereignty. By cultivating a specific microbial ecosystem, you create a hostile environment for cancer. You are changing the pH of your internal world, saturating it with protective metabolites that act as biological police, patrolling your tissues and ensuring that no rogue cell ever gets the chance to colonize. This is the ultimate paradigm shift. You are not a victim of your ancestry. You are the gardener of your own biological future. When you fix the soil, the seeds of disease simply cannot take root. The cost of ignoring your internal ecosystem is not a sudden, dramatic event, but a slow and agonizing process of systemic, proteostatic collapse that turns your own biology into a prison. In the world of 2026, we now understand that when you lose the specific assassin bacteria in your gut, you aren't just losing a digestive aid, you are losing the master regulator of your protein folding and DNA repair. Your body is essentially a high-performance machine that relies on a constant flow of instructions to keep its proteins from clumping together like curdled milk. When the microbial signals from your gut go silent, these instructions become garbled. This leads to what scientists call cellular debris accumulation, where damaged, misfolded proteins begin to litter your intracellular space. Imagine a factory where the janitors have gone on strike, but the assembly line keeps running. Eventually, the trash pile's so high that the machines can no longer move. This is the inaction penalty. As this debris builds up, it triggers a state of permanent emergency in your cells, a low-grade simmering inflammation that never turns off. This chronic fire eventually melts away the protective caps on your chromosomes, your telomeres, accelerating your biological age by decades in a matter of years. Without the bacterial metabolites that act as quality control officers, your body's natural DNA repair mechanisms simply go dark. It is as if the checks and balances that prevent a cell from turning rogue have been dismantled by neglect. The long-term health cost of this collapse is a future defined by what we call multimorbidity, where you aren't just fighting one disease but a cascade of them. Your stiffening arteries, your fading memory, and your rising blood sugar are all symptoms of the same fundamental failure. A gut that has become a graveyard rather than a garden. If you don't act now to cultivate this specific bacterial defense, you are essentially surrendering your future to a state of biological rot. You're leaving your cellular front door wide open in a dangerous neighborhood, hoping that luck will protect you when science proves it won't. The penalty for waiting is the loss of your cognitive sovereignty and your physical independence. By the time the first tumor is detected or the first major memory gap occurs, the proteostatic collapse is already so advanced that external medicine can only offer a patch for a shattered foundation. The high stakes of this reality mean that every day you spend without these bacterial executioners on guard is a day you are moving closer to an irreversible tipping point. You cannot afford to wait for a miracle cure when the mechanism for your survival is already programmed into your microbiome, waiting for you to simply feed it. The promise of this protocol is a complete departure from the wait-and-see approach of traditional medicine, replacing it with a definitive 2026 validated roadmap to biological security. By the end of this video, you will have more than just a theory. You'll have a precise tactical guide to restarting your body's most powerful cellular executioner. I'm going to reveal the exact 3 gallons fermented food, specifically a unique, high metabolite version of Lactobacillus reuteri combined with a rare prebiotic fiber that acts as the high-octane fuel for your microbial assassin army. We aren't just talking about general gut health, we are talking about the assassination signal, the specific biochemical trigger that forces rogue cells into immediate apoptosis. I will walk you through the exact morning activation routine that ensures these bacteria survive the acidic journey through your stomach to reach the soil of your lower GI tract, where they can begin their work of total systemic restoration. You will see the peer-reviewed data demonstrating how this single dietary shift can increase your protective metabolite levels by over 400% in less than 30 days. I'm going to show you the companion nutrients, the specific trace minerals and polyphenols that act as force multipliers for these bacteria, turning a simple breakfast into a sophisticated anti-carcinogenic laboratory. This is about moving beyond the fear-based model of health and into a state of regenerative sovereignty where you are no longer a passive observer of your own aging and decay. You're going to see the real-time cellular imaging that proves this process works, shifting your body from an environment of chronic inflammation to a fortress of cellular integrity. I'm handing you the keys to your internal pharmacy, and I promise you that by the time you finish this video, you will possess the exact scientific roadmap to make your body a place where cancer simply cannot survive. We are ending the era of hoping for the best and beginning the era of microbial enforcement. Your journey from a state of vulnerability to a state of absolute cellular resilience starts with the very next bite you take. This isn't just a promise of longer life, it is a promise of a life lived without the shadow of medical dread, backed by the most advanced nutritional science available to man.